something that people don't talk about is what actually happens when you really start making money for real. You know, how it affects your mind, your mentality, your relationships. A lot of people can't really make money like that because they don't know how to say no. You know, they haven't evolved from being nice to good. So oftentimes people will reject more money because they know that it's going to come with people asking for it. I went through that stage at one time. It was pretty difficult, you know, like whenever I'd get asked for money or something like that, it would just be like an ice pick to my spine. I'm like, man, no, they know I'm working so hard for my money. I'm taking risks. Like, I remember one time I came back to Warner Robins after I was had my first truck, and I was just rapping with one of my buddies, and I mentioned about like I can't pull onto the curb like that because this is a $600 tire. And within 7 days, I'm getting asked for $300. You know what I mean? So these are the things that's like that scare people away from having and making money sometimes. You know, I'm thankful that in this journey that I was able to evolve from nice to good, because it is a difference. It's a degree of separation for sure. Because the good person can say no, the nice person cannot. You know, when you're good, you're firm, you're solid enough in yourself, and somebody out here in the world is going to be like, oh, that person's the bad guy. That person doesn't do enough. That person did blah. And then if you can connect your righteousness or, you know, your godhood to only giving of money or you know, just being an open doormat like that, then it can be hard to evolve into being good too. But you know, when you start to get the money, especially out here in this trucking business, you know, this is a trucking channel. A lot of people aren't really able to hold much more than $20,000 in the bank because you get it, you spend it, you know, truck maintenance, trucks always need some attention and investment. But luckily, I knew early on that a lot of that money was not to be touched. You know, that money was to be saved, stacked, and I always set these things called financial floors. You know, we talk about it in here too because it's an important part of being a successful owner-operator is your home life and budgeting. There's a whole chapter on here called home life and budgeting. It's like, Drew, I don't want to sit there and do all that, but maybe you do from a practical person like me that can take complicated things and make it simple where you're not having to read, you know, 10 books about money management and all these different things. The financial floor for us in the trucking business needs to be at least about $20,000. You know, there's got to be enough money in the bank to at least cover a motor overhaul. Like if you don't have a whole motor in the bank, you're one breakdown away from being out of business. And that's not cool for the amount of work and pressure that's on us and the time away from home and family and stuff. Like, you gotta have that 20K there. So as you're making the money, you build these financial floors and you try to always stay above those financial floors. So once you reach 20, you move it up to 30. So once you touch $30,000, then anything past $30,000, you know, you want to buy some cool high fashion clothes, go on a trip to Jamaica, do these different things. That money past $30,000 you can spend. You know, still don't go crazy with it or whatever, but it's there. So that's the type of things that doesn't get talked about enough with what happens when somebody starts making money. Because with more money comes more responsibility, and you have to be more firm and more conscious and disciplined. Then as family and friends begin to see that you're the guy with the money and all that, you got to have calm nerves and be okay with it. You know, you don't want to hide yourself because you earned it. You know, you earned it. It's your money. It's your lifestyle. You deserve to show it in a tasteful way. You know, always have humility, because if you let your ego get too much, you know, the universe will strip you of your money after a while. The universe lets you go up, and crash it. All right? But that's what the money is here for. The money is a tool. The money is here to do cool things and enrich other people's lives. And if you want to sponsor something, you sponsor. If you want to build something, you build it. whatever your hobbies are, whether you know them or not, you pour into those. You have children, you pour into their hobbies so they can be multi-talented. And yes, for sure, you stack up and you put the money in the bank. But also, the more savvy you are at knowing how money markets work, you probably want some of that money to make money for you too. Like ETF, a dividend paying ETF that pays monthly. QYLD pays monthly. Every $100,000 right there, they'll pay out $1,000. If you find different ways to make 10% on your money, like there's guys that will have trade copiers in foreign exchange market. So every time they place a trade, they'll place a trade in your account. And you can do it on demos to make sure that the person's a good trader, and if they have a system that works, then 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. So if you have 10,000 bucks parked right there, it could be generating another 1,000. A lot of people say that they want the money and they think they can handle it, but like the Most High isn't going to overload you. And if you don't have the vessel to hold it, you're not going to get it either. Alright? And what I mean by that is, when I made my first $100,000 and I went all the way down to zero, took me 10 years to make that money. It was a good amount of money. My land was paid for, my truck was paid for, truck and trailer, semi-truck. Had a pretty cool life carved out. But I started getting involved in the stock market, options trading, futures trading, real estate, foreign exchange, compound interest, where it was only a matter of time before I would see 200, 300, 500,000, a million, multiple millions. And since Most High knew my heart and that I was destined for that path, Most High didn't want to give me something that was going to overload me. Because yes, I was cool and calm and stable with the 100,000, but I hadn't been back here in Georgia. I wasn't in Macon, I wasn't in Warner Robins, I wasn't in Atlanta. I was out in Louisiana, in the country. Yeah, I was traveling the United States and going everywhere, but I had me a cool little safe place, 3 acres of land, where I didn't really have any real competition. I didn't really have people in my face. I didn't have people trying to strip it from me. I didn't have so many people with their hand out. So then I moved back here to Middle Georgia in Atlanta, and it's like, Most High was like, bro, you can't have that much money right now because you're not ready for it. Like I felt like I was, but in hindsight, I see that I was not ready for that. I'm not the man that I am today. From taking that $100,000 and going down to zero and having to build it back up, and seeing what everybody's really up against, then post-COVID and with the inflation and everything that hit. Rent no went from $800 to $1,400, but the wages didn't. Like it's a lot of anger and trouble in the street, and especially around here. And we're working on a line of that with the nonprofit organization, Middle Georgia Community, and improving the social stability in the region. And this is a very beautiful place, as you can see. But the people is what can make the world so ugly sometimes. Like I always say, Earth moves slow. It's the world that moves fast. It's us that's on this world that's speeding it up and making it hard on each other. So that's why we must slow down a little bit to reality, to the alpha state, 8 hertz, 8 to 12 hertz, alpha state, alpha brainwave. And that's why we got the fashion company called 8 Hertz Earth, and it's sold at Skate Plug Atlanta in Hayfield. So those are some of the issues that I see, are some of the complications that arise from what starts happening after you get money. So a lot of people can't really handle being asked for money, or they morally feel like they're doing wrong if they don't open up their checkbook every time somebody asks for it. Like all that has to be overridden. And I call it the evolution from nice to good. But yeah, one thing I want to mention that we talk about in the home life and budgeting is I wasn't really going to film long form content today, but I was out here filming me reading the book for short form content, and just wanted to keep some content here going with your man Drew Higgs. like a cup that has no bottom. Okay? And that's symbolic of just expensive habits, expensive food, drinking, if you got a wife or, somebody at home that's just like really going through the money too fast, or if you're early on in the business and you're like, I want to get a boat and I want to get a Ram truck, and you start putting all these things on credit, and now you got money coming out so fast that you gotta be out there on the road, you gotta be pressured, and now things get so much more pressured than it does have to be. We call that, the bottom being gone in the cup. So that's like, okay, you're making good money, you're pouring the liquid in, but it's coming right out. It's coming right out. It's coming right out. So that's the homework for this video right here. I want you to go back into your home life and budgeting operation in your personal way, how you spend money and stuff, and see, do you have any leaks? A pinhole leak, a whole bottom out. Discover what those are and do what you can to patch it up. First become aware of it and patch it up. This could just be, every time stopping at the truck stop and buying, a $5 drink or a $10 food or whatever. And, you add it up, it might be $50 in a day. Times 7 if you're over the road, that could be $350. So even if we round it down to 300, 3, 6, 9, 12, that's a whole $1,000 in a month. Now, yes, morale is important, but you got to strike that balance. Especially when you're on the come up and you're getting onto your first 20, 30, 40, 50 G's. Now, once you get past that 30, 40, 50 G's part, yeah, take care of yourself with morale, but it's still going to add up. Don't be one of these, rich people out here that just never spend their money. That's crazy too. But these little things, holes that we have in our cup, we don't fix it by getting more and more and more money if it's still coming right on the bottom. So we gotta patch the hole in the ship first. And sometimes that requires just extra discipline, not buying certain things that you want to buy, being cool with it. And you do it for a little while, you will come out on the right side of it. Make sure to check this out on Amazon if you're serious about being successful in an owner-operator, knowing the tips, tricks in the game that the old guys don't want to tell you, which motors are worth buying, the pre-emission motors that are going to make you money, the maintenance tips and tricks, what to know, what to carry, what to have on you, how to deal with the state police. Then the final 15 chapters of this book is all about starting your own authority.